Yo, 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 what is going on, COD Familia? It is your boy PN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about the migration bonanza that is happening right now in the 119 kingdoms, where the majority of that group has officially opened their migration as these kingdoms have came out of Season of Strife Season 1. Now remember, these are 1 through 10, 22 through 90, 213 through 240, and 277 through 288. There was some kingdoms that were a day ahead, a smaller group. Their migration opened up yesterday at reset. The remaining, for the majority, opened up today at reset, so about 2.5 hours ago. In today's video, we are going to touch on a number of things. Number one, how many players have actually moved thus far in these 2.5 hours? The number might surprise you. Number two, which kingdoms are leading the charge right now that have received and gained the most amount of migrants thus far? Number three, what are the current full status kingdoms' kingdom power? From adding up alliances at 1 billion power and more, has the server cap increased or has it not? And then number four, possibly a moment where I have found Waldo, and I'm going to tell you something, more of an announcement or just something to maybe keep our eye on where a major alliance has potentially moved to. So, as always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you throw us up because it helps out a lot. So number one, we're going to start with which kingdoms or how many total players have moved so far. So we're going to show you our sheet as per usual. And we ended up doing, remember, we pulled the data before migration windows opened 2 days ago. And then now that they're all open, this is what we're looking at. So if we're starting from the low end, which is these kingdoms, you can see I ended up doing numbers here. And the numbers are indicative of what the kingdom status is. So I just thought, I'll just do it this way as kind of a creative way where I can still keep the colors intact to indicate what the status of the kingdom is at. So you can see here, right, Kingdom 3, right, it's at 2 people that have come in. We have Kingdom 7, they got 6 people, still crowded, right, seeing a little bit of movement here. We also see some status changes as well, right? One of the one here that we saw coming was 29. They were full, now they're crowded, but still 300 over 300. They haven't brought anyone in yet. We have Kingdom 40. They went from crowded to active. They've brought 2 people in. You see 48. They're full, but they went down to crowded, and they haven't brought anyone in yet. Kingdom 60, I actually had reached out, shout out to Grand, I reached out and asked, maybe around how many players have they got in, because they actually started at 251 over 300. Now, this is interesting, because I had asked CoD CS about this, and their response to me is that for some kingdoms, if you noticed that your kingdom, or if you were looking through any, and maybe they were lower, they didn't start at 300 over 300, but the first number was a little bit lower than 300, that apparently is normal. They said that based on how they calculate the system for opening migration and the number of slots that kingdoms will get, can be factored in to having a lower number than 300. And so I remember when I looked at 60, they were at 251 over 300. They had let me know that they have got at least about 19 people in so far, so that's why I kind of wrote it like this. If we scroll down a little bit more, you can see Kingdom 90, they were full, now they're crowded, but they haven't got anyone in yet. If we go up here to 213, you can see Kingdom 223, they were active, they went down to normal, right? So some people ended up leaving. Well, potentially, I guess we should say potentially maybe left. And then the last group here is 277 through 288, but again, no changes there in activity status. Okay, now let's get to some of the big movers. So there has been a total of, or sorry, if we let's go back here for a sec. If we look at all the movement that has happened so far for these 119 kingdoms, there is a total of 555 players that have migrated thus far within about 2.5 hours of migration being open for the majority of the kingdoms, right? Keep in mind, some kingdoms have been open for a day in 2.5 hours, but the majority of the kingdoms have been open for 2.5 hours. And so just wanted to say that, I mean, again, 555 players is pretty decent. So who's winning the charge, right? Who's kind of winning migration at the moment? Well, There are a number of kingdoms, actually. If we start with the number one kingdom right now that has the most amount of migrants that they have brought in, that would actually be Kingdom 232. They had brought in 57 players. Now you can see 60 players currently that they brought. That's YBD playing there. And you can see current limits at 15 mil. They're probably potentially adjusting this. But again, that's a decent amount. They're leading the charge right now. Kingdom 79 has brought in 44 players. And I think 79 being here. It looks like 46 now. So they brought in 2 more since we started talking. Is that right? Yeah, 46. Okay, I'm not tripping. I can count correctly. And then 2. It's got to hit again. It's late night for me. Now that I'm finally getting some time to get one of these recordings in. This is LOCY running 79. Number 3 is 221. So 221 ended up bringing... Ooh, I think I'm going to have to do a manual search for this. Give me a moment. Bam, bam. So they've brought in, when I had looked, it was 41. Now it looks like it's 43, right? This is SW6D's kingdom. Then if we get to Kingdom 67, they have brought in 41 people when I look. Now it's actually 45, so you can see some more coming in. They're unlimited. This is AXT's kingdom. We have 228, which is, I believe they were at 33, still at 33. This is Seal's kingdom, there for 228. We go to Kingdom 54. They have brought in 31 players. That's still the same. This is Bossy's kingdom. If we go to, oh gosh, where was I? 54. Now we're going to go to 85. If I can look here. So 85, they had brought in 30, still at 30. This is PTW's kingdom, pay to win. If we go to Kingdom 23, which I think I need to do it this way. Right? Oh, sorry, not 23. That's the wrong number. 282. Got to go up here. 282, they've brought in 23 people, 26 now, so plus 3. This is VXH's kingdom, VXH. We go to 286. They've brought in 22 people, now 23 that you can see here. This is WGL, I believe one of the Asian-based kingdoms. If we go to Kingdom 62, we can see here that they had brought in 21. Oh, it still is 21. This is -FG-'s kingdom. If we go to Kingdom 77, excuse me, they had brought in 19. And now it looks like 21. This is MFD's kingdom. If we go to Kingdom 60, we got 2 more left for you. They're actually, oh, interesting. Wow, wild. So 60, oh no, they told me it was 19, yeah, because they're full. Okay, now we're going to go to 69. 69 had brought in 18 players when I last looked, still 18. And again, they're an active status kingdom. This is PX or squiggly PX squiggly. And that kind of breaks up our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 13 kingdoms that have had 18 migrants coming in or more. There might have been one more around the 15 or 16 migrant in, but I kind of wanted to try to grab it as close as I could to 20. But these are basically your leaders at the moment. Now, if we go over kingdoms that are around, and I'm going to actually show you this. Let me see if I can increase some font size here real quick so I can show this off. Hopefully it doesn't go too crazy here. Let me see. Oh yeah, I have to go a little bit more on the font size in order to really hammer this point home. So I can show you guys what some of the kingdom caps or power caps are, I should say. Let me see if I can kind of get this in an ideal state. Here we go. Okay, so here's the kingdom caps, and I'll be showing this off to you now. So this is what we have at the moment, right? So I went through all the full status kingdoms that are full. And I wanted to see, well, what is the current kingdom power if we're looking at 1 billion power alliances and stronger? If you remember when I did the top kingdoms, right, we did this, but this is based off the top 7 alliances, right? And so I thought, okay, well, let me just do the 1 billion plus range, and then we'll kind of come up with this. So as you can see, and I'll do it like this if you're curious, right, if this helps a little bit more. Right, so you kind of see the kingdom number. So you see 23. Okay, well, 23 is here. They were at 36.44. They're at 33.33, right? So they've dropped about 3.1. If we look at Kingdom 5, 24.9, 22.2. So they've dropped, what would that be, 2.7 billion. If we look at Kingdom 29, I have to find them here. If they're even on this list, probably not, but they should be. $10 says I am blind. Thank God I'm not. Okay. Well, Oh, sorry, they wouldn't be here. 17.7. I'm tripping. But they're at 17.7 billion, right? And keep in mind, these are all full status kingdoms. You have Kingdom 30, which is at 22.3. They should be on here somewhere. 23.2. So they're about $1 billion power less right now. If we look at Kingdom 41, 23.4. And then we have Kingdom 41, 19.6. So they've dropped 3.6 billion. I mean, that's a decent amount. Sorry, 3.8, if I'm counting that right. About 3.8, 3.9. And so then we look at Kingdom 48, 22.66, 20.1, right? So that's about 2.5 billion. You look at Kingdom 57, they're at 25.48, 25.3. So, I mean, again, still pretty close, right? I mean, it's like, 100, 200 million off. Kingdom 60, they're down here 20.66, 20.8. So they're actually a little bit stronger now, but again, they've been getting some people in. If we look at Kingdom 61, which is right here, 29.88, right, they're at 1.6 billion less. Kingdom 70, you could see 25.98, 70, 25.7. So again, it's about 200 million less. Kingdom 81 was 22.6, 81, 25.64. So you could see here there's a loss of what, 3.25, almost 3.3 billion. Then we end up getting to Kingdom 84, 22.4. And 84, 25.1. So that's what, 3.6, 3.7 billion? Sorry, 2.7 billion. I have to remember some math there. And then Kingdom 90, which I don't think they're on the list. At least I don't believe so. Oh, they were. So 22.25, 19.7. That's what, 2.5 bill? So it looks like around 2 to 3 billion power you're seeing some of these kingdoms that have lost in, or at least lowered to maybe try to get out of the full status. But look at the range here. On the low end, you have 17.7 billion, and they're still considered full. Then on the high end, you have 33.33. I mean, that is, what is that, a 15.6 billion power differential, give or take? Even if you were to remove the 33.3 in Kingdom 23. What's the next highest? 25, 28.2 here in Kingdom 61. So even if you look at that, that's a 8.6. That's an 8.6 billion gap between number 2 and whatever the lowest one here for the full status kingdoms are. Again, even if you take away and you look at like the 23 bill, like look at the amount of kingdoms that are still over 23. You have one in Kingdom 23. They're over 23 bill. That's 2, 3, 4. 4 kingdoms that are over 23 billion power right now. You see that a number of kingdoms are really close to 22, right? You got 4 of them, 81, 84. They're all at 22.6, 22.4, very close in power. You look at Kingdom 30, 22.3, 22.2, right? I mean, based on this, they're all within 400 million of each other at that point. That's really good. That's kind of what you want to see. Now, keep in mind, Kingdom 5, and I'm sure a number of these kingdoms are not fully healed, so we do have to keep things into perspective. However, this kind of goes to show you, some of the wide gaps for these full status kingdoms, and then some of the crowded kingdoms that actually could be stronger than some of the lowest full status kingdoms. And we showed that off in a previous video when we were covering season to season full status and crowded status kingdoms based on what their server cap power was at. Okay, now the last one for me is something that I thought was a little interesting that I'm going to show you in game now on a move that has happened, or potentially, I guess I should say, because I don't know if it has or not, but I thought it was very interesting, right? Because I went into this kingdom and I thought to myself, oh, well, this is interesting. Why do I see, and it was more of like this, right? Because I went here and I was going through the kingdoms and I clicked on 40, sorry. 40, I was like, oh, wow, okay, that's weird, right? Because I was going through all the kingdoms to try to look at what the spaces remaining were, and obviously I try to pay attention to as many details as I can. And I see TFS. And then I see TFS Mastia. And then I thought, okay, well, let me go into the kingdom and just see what's going on. And okay, so I zoom in and I thought, okay, well, let me just look at the boards. Okay, so I see Vibes there. Okay, that's someone I know. Dominican TNT, okay. Caspi, I think I've heard of before, but it's like, okay, there's just a few. I look at the Alliance. I'm like, okay, so they're like 3rd place Alliance, right? But the leader is Zyron. I don't really see anything that's going on here. But if you dig a little bit deeper, and you go through the chat, you could see here, I think Zyron posted something in the chat when I was looking through things. Oh, here it is. ROP players following Zyron, go to server 67, apply for migration, you will be let in. Okay, interesting. So now it kind of feels like, is this the kingdom that TFS found that had a king in place, but was, potentially like the lowest amount of power that it could be? I mean, because even like these people total up to about 200 mil right now. So, again, if you kind of take that away, right, obviously they're a little bit less powerful, but I mean, really the strongest kingdom here was strongest alliance was what, 1.8 billion? I mean, this is still a pretty deadish kingdom at that point. And if we looked at where they were on the board, Kingdom 40 is actually they were a crowded, but now they're active, right? So they're an active kingdom. They weren't normal, but they were active. And so, and they only had a couple slots. I think only 2 people had joined at that time. So when you look at it now, and then the next thing that I thought was interesting is that I see, okay, well, this alliance, which was probably the number 1 alliance, most likely, ended up handing the shell over. It would make sense because they haven't updated the announcement page for the alliance yet. They have the most territory, them saying Zyron left. But then, when I went over here, I saw, okay, well, they have, again, I see dragons, so maybe a swap happened. And then you could see here where it says contested. Now, maybe they didn't attack it. Maybe the alliance shell already had it and they just swapped out. And then it's just the timer that's coming up. That's very plausible for what it could be. I don't think any announcements have been sent out from what I understand. Unless we can see here 7, 8, 12. Like it's 9. It's, so again, right, it's been over a month since something was sent out. Nothing's really happened yet. And I don't think there's any declaration here, right? So if I click on privileges, I don't really see anything that's been done yet. I don't see any special migration for people that have applied yet or that are waiting to get in. But I'm sure if we waited, maybe we'd find something. So anyways, just thought it was interesting that we potentially found out where TFS is moving to, if this is the case. And yeah. So it makes me think about, and I'm going to do a video on this because I've had some people ask me about this, and it's actually been a handful of people that have came and said, boss, do you have any idea? Like we're a group, we want to move out of our kingdom right now, as kind of a way to trim some of that dead weight. Where's a dead kingdom that we can go to that is prime real estate? They have a king in place, or they have someone that could accept, and that we could kind of go to and rebuild. And I thought, man, this is such a great question that I had got asked from a number of people. Not too many, a handful, as I said. But this is something that I actually used to cover. Like, I think we did a video with the top 25 deadest kingdoms in the game. But I am planning, and I want to do this video on like the top kingdoms that are dead, but basically are like prime real estate, to where if you're trying, like basically the top dead kingdoms that you could go and rebuild. That's kind of the premise of it. And I thought, man, this would be a really cool video to do, to talk about that, and also to talk about like, what are you looking for? Why is it exactly that dead or inactive kingdoms, if they fit certain pieces of criteria, could be amazing restart or rebuilding foundations for alliances and or players to go to that could really help them out in a number of ways, and obviously have some pros and cons. But again, I was thinking about talking about. So again, I would love to hear what you guys think on that one. Aside from that, let me know what you think on anything that we touched on in the comments down below. That is going to do it for me. Remember, tomorrow is going to be the most loved player video coming out. We have almost 1,200 votes in getting close to a day and a half. I think we're like a day and 8 hours, a day and 7 hours in. I mean, just breaking records. Like what's crazy to me is the most hated player, we peaked at like 467 or 477 votes. And so the fact that we've almost 2.5 times that is just bananas, because some people were saying, how are we getting so many votes for the most loved player when the most hated player is a lot more controversial and more dramatic? So but again, I think it's awesome. That's just me. So as always, man, that's it for me. As always, until next time, I'll catch y'all later.